Hey guys, Tigress here. So first off, I know it's weird that I have my closet behind me, but this is just like my little goddess, like woman power altar, which doesn't look like much from where you are. I'll give you a little tour of that at the end of the video, but I just wanted to have it with me while I made this video because I'm making this video because it's been really healing and therapeutic for me making these videos. Journaling always has been. I used to say that I'm never healed for something until I write about it or write a song about it, and now that includes making a video about it. So I also want to make this video because I know so many women struggle with this. I have a lot of friends. I know a lot of moms. I mean, I'm gonna tell my story about how this, started with me really young. So I know this is a really big issue, and I just want to share how I've been dealing with it in my current life. So basically, I just want to start off by saying I was raised on MTV. I remember like being really young and watching Madonna videos, and just spent a lot of time watching MTV, and I grew up like always saying like I can't decide, do I want to be a singer, do I want to be an actress, do I want to be a dancer, do I want to be a model? And of course, I mean, I love performing, I still do, obviously making YouTube videos, but that world was full of so much focus on what you look like that it really dragged me into that. And so even at a young age, I remember being very just very like sexual, not like physically actively sexual, but just like in the way that like I like to feel sexy. I like to dance in very erotic ways, on my own and in my own room and things, and wear very little crop tops and things. Like I was just really into that at a young age. And I remember being 12 years old, right before going into junior high. I was at a friend's house, and her mom said to me, "Oh, you sure do have the black family belly, don't you?" My family's last name is Black, so she was referring to my family. And at the time, I remember feeling like extremely shocked. Like, what? I don't have a belly. What is this woman talking about? I'm fine, And then, but it struck a chord in me, and it never left. And I mean, of course, that wasn't the thing that made me feel fat, but it definitely like put it into perspective and brought it all together. And since that moment, I had become very obsessed. And again, that was at 12 years old. And so by 14 years old, I remember learning about bulimia and anorexia through like awareness videos that you watch at school, and they're trying to, scare you out of doing it, but really it taught me what it was and how it's done, because girls in those videos will share like, I used to go to the bathroom in the cafeteria, or I used to, puke in this thing, and like they share like how they did it. So I felt like I learned how to do it, and so I started doing that. And luckily I wasn't very committed to the point where I never got to like being hospitalized or anything like that. But I still always had that feeling of being gross, and it was very on and off. And I also, at one point, was also cutting myself, which I know we grew up in a generation where cutting yourself, the emo stage, that was very common. So when I was 16, so basically that wavered on and off until I was 16. I would just be kind of in and out of bulimia, but like always hating myself. And at 16, I moved in with a friend of mine, and actually that was really nice because I had like someone super close to me that kind of made me value myself a little bit more. But at the same time, we started like kind of partying and doing unhealthy things. We weren't doing any hardcore drugs, but I won't say what we were doing for the sake of, I don't want to instruct anyone. But basically, I lost weight in a really unhealthy way in one summer. And so I came back to school like my senior year, or maybe it was my junior year, whatever, I don't know. But I came back and I felt, I was skinny, and I felt better about myself, and I felt beautiful, and I was getting complimented, and I felt confident about walking up and, talking to boys and asking them on dates and stuff. But I definitely still didn't feel pretty. My focus shifted. Once I lost that weight, then it was like, well, now my boobs are too small, and my face is ugly, and I'm annoying. Like there was just like, there was still so much about my body that I could still make up, and I still had a really bad relationship with myself. So basically, I stopped doing those things that were making me lose weight really quickly, but I didn't necessarily start focusing on a healthier life necessarily. It wasn't until I became pregnant at 19 that I started to really take my health a little bit more seriously. And then after having my daughter, I was eating really healthy foods, not necessarily organic at that point, but trying to make things mostly at home. And, we were on WIC and food stamps and stuff. So, eating organic wasn't really an option, but we were still trying to eat dinners and, yeah, again, eat at home and be healthier. So after I had my daughter, I breastfed her for, 2 years, but it was only after like 9 months that I pretty much lost any sort of appetite. I didn't have any energy to like make food, and food just like sounded gross, and I just hated it. And I just like, it makes me want to cry talking about it because I felt really hopeless. Like I knew I had to take care of my body so that I could feed my daughter and be there for her energetically. And, but I was really depressed. And I think, looking back, I was definitely going through a lot of postpartum. Yes, even 9 months later. But I think that's something we don't talk about a lot in our society. We don't talk about how much postpartum depression affects you, how it affects you, and how long it can last. So basically, looking back on that, I was really depressed, and I was not eating enough, especially for breastfeeding. I heard you burn like 9,000 calories an hour breastfeeding. Don't quote me on that. I could be a little off, but it's something crazy. You burn a lot of calories breastfeeding. So I lost a lot of weight. I got down to like under 100 pounds at one time, and I'm 5 foot. So I looked really thin, and I remember feeling so ugly. I just felt like a skeleton. I felt like I had no curves. I just looked like a child. I wasn't attractive, wasn't sexy. And I really hated my body. And I remember kind of realizing in that moment, like, wow, I'm not happy with myself when I'm fat, and I'm not happy with myself when I'm skinny. Doesn't really seem like that should matter. Like, obviously, the state my body is in doesn't have anything to do with my actual relationship with myself and how I'm viewing myself. So, unfortunately, that realization didn't get me super far. That was about 8 years ago when that happened, or 9 years ago. My daughter is turning 9. So yeah, that was about, a little less than 9 years ago. And I still have been on and off diets, losing, gaining since then, and just kind of focusing on that. Like, wow, I'm heavier than I want to be now, so let's lose a little bit more, and then I'll lose a little bit of weight and again feel insecure, so gain it back. And I've just been kind of like, staying in these like 20-pound section, but still going back and forth from, oh, I'm too fat, oh, I'm too skinny, oh, I'm too fat, too skinny. And I am just so done. I am so done. I'm so fucking done. Oh my God. I feel really frustrated about this right now because I'm in a state right now where I do feel thicker or chunkier than I want to be. And I keep having these thoughts, these habitual thoughts that come into my mind that say, okay, now you need to lay back on this, or now you need to start doing more of this. And it's very habitual. And this time I'm deciding to approach it differently. I still want to be healthy. I still want to feel good. That's still, health is still very much something I'm very passionate about, but more in the sense of a feeling, of it being a feeling, rather than a state that you reach from the outside. So I'm no longer doing any sort of diets or any sort of restricting or any sort of forced routines. All of that I have found has just brought me more and more deeper and deeper into a really negative relationship with myself. So I'm no longer doing that. I mean, in all of my diets that I have done in the past, none of them since the one in high school has been unhealthy. So luckily I have learned a lot about what my body responds to, what it likes and what it doesn't on a physical level. But that's no longer as relevant. Right now I'm focusing on my mental. And so basically what I'm doing is every time I notice that I am kind of coming back to those thoughts of like, oh, this looks way, this looks that way, I'm choosing to, in that moment, switch my thoughts. So for example, the other day I was riding in the car, my husband was driving. It was really hot, so I took off my shirt and I was just wearing my little tank top underneath. And it's so thin that, and I'm sitting that you could see my rolls, and this is where body dysphoria really comes in. And this is how, I haven't been diagnosed by any sort of therapist or doctor or anything, but this is how I know I have it. Because, and I know, like, if you have this too, like, you will experience this. And I'm, like, crying thinking about it because it's so intense. Like, you look down at your body and you just see something, like, just like you just see like a monster, it's basically like you're looking down at yourself and you're just like, oh my God, like I'm so huge, like I might as well have acne and green bumps on my skin and oozing, because that's how ugly I feel right now, and that's how like disgusting. And I know why a lot of people don't talk about it, because it sounds so stupid when you say it out loud. Like, why would I care so much about what I look like? Why is that so important to me? But in that moment, it is just everything. I was in the car looking down at my body, just seeing my stomach out to here, like visually in my mind. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so huge. I'm taking up this whole car. I'm so bulky. Like, anyone who would drive by me right now would probably look in the car and say, oh, look at that gross fat girl. Like, like, oh my God. So what I'm deciding to do in these moments, and what I did in that moment, and I keep doing this, and it really is working. It really is helping. I think about the women that I look up to, the women that like I respect and I think are beautiful. My friends, the people that I follow on Instagram, actresses, especially Amy Schumer. I just fucking love her so much. I love her so much. And anytime I see someone speak out, and Demi Lovato too, about speaking out about just appreciating their body, and just saying like, yeah, I have this and yeah, I have that. And I know and a part of me does want to change it. Part of me doesn't like it. But another part of me is like, I need to make peace with this. And so I just envision myself in that moment. Like in that moment, I envisioned myself in the car and I looked at my body and I didn't try to, in my mind, I envisioned what I was seeing and I tried to not change it, not say, oh, well, you're skinny, honey, or you're not actually that big, you're fine. I didn't try to like tone down those thoughts. All I did was just, what would it look like if in this moment I looked down at the same body and felt something different? What if in this moment I looked down at the same body with the same shirt and the same roll and actually thought and felt, you look fucking sexy. You look just beautiful and sensual and just gorgeous right now. Like, you're perfect. There's not a thing that needs to change. And I think it's like my fuel for being so frustrated and so over this relationship so over these self-defeating thoughts, that I do it until I feel it. I picture how I would like to feel until I feel it. I know it sounds insane. I'm a crazy person trying to, focus on something that isn't really there, or envisioning something until I feel it. And, but I don't fucking care. It doesn't matter what other people think because it's working for me. And I'm just learning to treat myself the way I treat other people, the other people that I love. the other people that I see as beautiful and perfect and don't need to change. And it really is helping. I definitely have a part of my brain that's like, oh my gosh, if you keep going down this road, you're just going to gorge yourself to death. If you keep not giving yourself restrictions, you're going to be out of control. You're going to get super fat. And if you keep saying you're okay with where your body is right now, you're just going to get fatter. You're just going to get more out of control. And my answer to that every time I get to that level, I'm just like, so what? So what? So what if my body gets bigger? So what if I get so out of control fat that I'm just like heart diseased out? What does that matter if I already hated myself? I mean, point is, bottom line, if my mind is poisoned, my body is poisoned, no matter what shape it is on the outside. It is almost completely irrelevant what I look like on the outside. And I just want to leave it at that. But I did promise a tour of my little goddess temple that I have here. So, of course, every goddess temple has to have Marilyn Monroe. And then I have these really cool witches that I found. This is a picture that I painted in high school during that time of being really unhealthy, but finding myself. And then I have Katy Perry, because I love her and I really love this album. It's really helped me through a lot. And my friend made me this cute little queen thing that I really love. And then behind me here, this picture was made by a bunch of friends of mine. So it really holds them dear to my heart. And then I have of my friends and the women that love me and that I love. And I'm in Pennsylvania, so that's why that's there. There's a lot of other reasons for why all of these things are here, but anyways, I definitely, I would encourage you all to just find what inspires you, to find what makes you feel beautiful, and we just need to love ourselves. Anyways, this is part of why I am really passionate about being a health coach. I think this is part of what makes me a really good health coach, is because I am on my own journey learning about myself. So all of my health coaching sessions, the first one is free. So if you want to try it out, send me a message, and I would love to do that. I'd love to talk to you and hear what's going on with you. And yeah. So thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope it helps some people. All right. One love.